Heidi-ho, heidi-ho. So, the message for today, a ray of hope. So, when we search out that the divine spark that is within each and every one of us, so all of us are sparks of Adam. Adam in Hebrew means mankind. We all come from the same original source, which would be our Abba. When we read that book, the 10 utterances are a key. So don't covet. Ultimately, Kili Ko Ha'ada, it's all the earth is mine, is what our Abba says. But recognizing others have a right to their own autonomy. So when it talks about placing guards at your gates, it's talking about our eyes, our nostrils, our mouth, and our ears. Border is nothing more than this vessel that we live in. And I usually allude to and say killing out the ego of the beast, which would be the nephesh, the lower soul. The lower soul seeks everything that is base, but in excess. So the things that we need to sustain life in these bodies is food, clothing, shelter, water, the basic necessities. The beastly soul sees nothing more than the material world and wants to receive everything material. Seeks to have power over others. That's coveting what belongs to others. So a man's freedom of movement, freedom of travel, freedom of expression, those things are all God-given rights that no man can trespass against. But you give a man power and he becomes Haman. And he ends up hung on his own gallows. Because that is situational narcissism. Quite often sociopaths and psychopaths lead towards those positions. So reading that book comes down to what is in our heart and what is in our mind. And we have to, instead of allowing our children to be indoctrinated, we have to educate them ourselves and teach them the difference between base wants and base needs. We need things to sustain life in these bodies. Everything that is in excess is a want. It's not a need. Doing righteous things unto others. So, like I've said before, our Abba is the will to bestow upon us, and we are the will to receive, but we're supposed to be in the image of our Abba, which is to receive in order to bestow, to help others. And yes, there are those who always walk around with their hand out, believing that they deserve. And those are the ones that usually go for the positions of power as well. You know, they live off the welfare state. So, and that's not saying that there are those who are needy. We're not talking about the Department of, but we're talking about people that actually live off of the sweat equity of others because they don't want to soil their hands. So anyway, the way we read Torah and Tanakh, which would be the Old Testament to some, the way we read those holy books comes down to our heart. Always in the frontlet of your mind should be Kili Ko Ha'ada. It's all the earth belongs to God, our Abba. When a man has possession of something, if he's given his labor for it, not using a fictitious conveyance of language to try to cheat him out of what he has worked for. But at the same time, we should not be trying to gain. So we need land to have crops, but we don't need 10,000 acres for one man. That's being greedy for gain. So we always have to remember that we're not using it to help others and to better the lives of others, lifting others up, not for our own profit and our own material gain, which is the problem with this debt-based system that's all around the world. You sold yourself to the creditors. So anyway, that's the message for today. I can see a ray of light in Torah. but we have to seek that ray of light. And that ray of light is giving everything back up to our Ima Abba. And realizing we are nothing more than the stewards of, the caretakers of this land. God bless. Much love.